Hey guys, real quick, the other thing that I forgot to mention was a couple things actually. Let me show you a chart on Raytheon that we like, RTX, but interesting moves again as well. Rejection of the 200 exponential, top channel, right? Momentum channel. And we can stretch this out. We call this a momentum channel on the top. Broke it, put a wick on it, failure, regroup, back up, back test it, fire to the upside. This top channel here, we hit the 200 exponential, or just about hit it, pulled back, closed right on the momentum line, and then we've kind of failed here, right? Failed. So it's not that this is a horrible, this is fine. This is normal action, but it means that we probably have more room to the downside on the broader averages. That these stocks aren't consolidating sideways. They're having wild swings. I mean, I get it. That's a huge move, right? Nothing wrong with, if we ran a Fibonacci from there, you could probably see that. And we'll just do this in Mickey Mouse fashion. It doesn't have to be spot on, right? We'll just do it from the pivot there. So you can kind of see how the fibs worked a little bit, right? Some consolidation here. You can run it either way too. You can do it from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. However you run it. The 50% retracement was this area right here. Either way, 50 from the top, 50 from the bottom. And if we run it from the top, and let's get rid of this one right here. It doesn't have to be spot on, you get the idea. But if you run it from the top, you can see that we failed at the 78.6 right here, which happened to be right along the trend line here, and now we're pulling back a little bit. So obviously we're filling the gap here. We'll probably see at least 67 tomorrow, if not lower. And then maybe we could run some consolidation on the side here around the 65, 66 area. If that's what happens tomorrow, who knows? We could be back up. But just by looking at the shape of this and some of the momentum indicators that I look at on Raytheon, back up, right? A little bit of channel on the RSI. It looks like it's going to pull back a little bit. I was actually short some of this the other day. I didn't think we'd get this move to break down below here, so I covered at the low of the day. But when we have an extended move today too, in a market that probably shouldn't have had this type of a move. And here's a chart that I do like. So we've been talking about Bitcoin forever, and GBTC is the Grace GBTC. This is what I've been using on Thinkorswim to trade. Grayscale Bitcoin, they buy Bitcoin. So this is a trust, and we've talked about how this chart looked really bullish recently, and I'll kind of zoom in. We were buying this in the 7s from this breakout. We thought we really liked this chart here, this triangular pattern that Bitcoin had created, and this little wedge in here, right? Look at this little wedge like this. And we love this. We took the outlier candles out like that. We love this little pattern that it had developed, and it was starting to tighten, so we bought some in here in the 7s, and we played this big, huge breakout. And then we back test on the 200 exponential. We fire up, and then it gets overbought and sells off. So I did sell some in the 1170s, bought some back, sold this, and hadn't really been in it heavily, okay? I always have a little bit of it until today. Today it was acting weird. It was in the wedge. And you can see, actually I'm going to show you the whole picture here. So you can see, and I'm using the little Mickey Mouse bar charts because they're a little bit easier to look at, and we'll kind of remove this here. But you can see how we had a little bit of a false break below the 200 exponential, and then we pop back up above it, and then you have a big volume move, but they sell into it, right? They sell the move, but you don't break this trend line, the backtest trend line on the wedge. Super important, because this was a close, this was a close, this was an open, this was the top, this was the bottom close, this is the close. So this is an important trend line. So we had this big move, we fired back up, they sold into it on big volume, right? We get it, but they bought it right back up. That's bullish action. And then they hold the trend line, bullish action. So I've had my eye on this. It didn't really matter that it was going lower on the close, right? Close, close, close. All it matters was that it was starting to ride this line and starting to power back up. So once we broke away from the line and pulled back and then closed up here, it was on my radar for today. So all I had to do is put in an alarm. Once it got above 1170, time to buy. So I went in kind of heavy on this one. We'll see how it plays out. I was a little upset intraday. This is volatile. This thing's weird. But intraday today, when it got up to like 1250, which on the longer term has been a big resistance area, and they sold it off. I get it. They sold it. They got a hammer, inverted hammer, and they sold it hard on big volume, right? Pretty big volume bar. But they bought it back up again. They bought it back up again. So if we ran a fib from that to kind of see who's winning here, the bulls or the bears. Actually, we'll kind of, I don't want to use that crazy breakout top high. You got to take some of these crazy moves out. I want common touches. So if we look at it that way, we would say that as long as we're above 1230, the bulls are in charge. So we'll keep an eye on this for tomorrow. I went kind of heavy, and I'm willing to hold it because of just the macro picture. I don't care about all this noise in here. Yeah, I could have sold some there and then bought back, but I'm not freaking Nostradamus. So I do like the picture that I see from the macro perspective on Bitcoin. And these aren't massive selling. That's a pretty good move, though, from top to bottom, 1250 to 12. I don't like to see that, but I do like to see that they bought it back up. So above 1230 is the 50% fib. 1235 would be great because we did a double touch there on this intra Fibonacci on the 61.8. Couldn't get above it there, couldn't get above it there, and they sold it back down again and they bought it back up. So we got a big bull bear battle going on here in Bitcoin. And with the weird action in the market and with volatility where it's at, the financials not acting right, very speculative market, tons of liquidity out there. I get it. That's what's keeping the market going here. Tons of day traders, tons of liquidity. I don't know. Bitcoin looks interesting to me here again. Just saying.